Good morning, good morning, good morning. Happy Friday to you. I am so excited, TGIF. It's the last show of the week. We've had some amazing shows this week. I learned a lot. I've laughed a lot, got teary-eyed a little bit. But if you want to know what I'm talking about, go back and watch the previous shows, watch the shows in the archives. I guarantee you will enjoy them, but you're also going to enjoy today's show. I've been talking to our guests backstage, and I have some things I think are really going to blow your mind. But before I go ahead and introduce today's guest, I'm going to ask you to do what I always ask you to do. And I want you to find the person in your house that is sleeping the most peacefully. That's right. If they're asleep right now, I want you to wake them up. Let them know the Roundtable Talk Show is on, because friends don't let friends miss out on the Roundtable Talk Show. Hey, they'll thank you. They'll thank you for waking them up so you can learn so they can learn right along with you. Now, while you're sharing, while you're waking them up, I'm going to go ahead and introduce my first guest so we can find out what all this hubbub is about. So I want to introduce you to Mr. Artem Lopez. He is a wedding and event host, and he's going to talk to us a little bit about how his business has been going, how he got to where he is, and what's going on in his life. Good morning, Artem. How are you?
Good morning, Sharifa. How are you?
I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, I love it. From what I've heard, the hints that you've dropped, you've been up since 5 a.m., which I'm a big fan of.
I'm not, though. I've made posts on Facebook. I tell people, I'm like, can someone teach me how to sleep to noon? Like, I want to learn that trait. I just wake up at 5 a.m. and I just get to work.
I think the key is really, like, the most important part is if you're getting X amount of the hours that you want. So regardless of when you're waking up, as long as you're getting the amount that you want, right? So I know every time people say laughter is the best medicine, and I agree, but I also want to throw sleep in there too, because I feel like sleep is super important. I love sleep, but it is hard. For me, I try to be up at around 5, and so that makes my bedtime like a toddler. So I'm in bed usually between 9 and 10 at night. But
I'm the same way.
Yeah,
I'm the same way.
It's
hard. My friends are mad because I love to sleep. Like, people ask that multi-billion-dollar question: if you could do anything in the world, what would you do? And I'm like, sleep. That's the only thing that I don't have enough time to do. But I go, like you, I go to bed early, like before 9 or 10. My friends are like, Sharif, it's 7:30. I'm like, but I'm tired.
I feel like that's your prerogative, right? Like, when you're tired, your body tells you it's a wrap. I think it's time to listen to your body, and that's it. I'm all for it. I love it. It's hard, and I will admit, during event days, specifically for me, for the industry that I'm in, where you usually end around maybe 11, 12, and by the time we're done with everything, it's like 2 a.m. So it's hard to be up at 5 after that. So I do adjust my days a little bit. Are there moments where you find that even though you certainly want to be in bed by 7, 8, 9, it's just not happening? You're at an event, you're at a wedding, you're at a party, for example. That's something that you run into, I assume?
Absolutely. But see, most of the people, I'm one of those people that have friends, they know me for years. They know how I am. After about 4 or 5 o'clock in the afternoon, my brain is no good. So I can be here. So I might help you pick up some chairs or some tables and put things up. But don't ask me a question, because my brain is literally fried from all the thinking I've done all day.
So you're physically present, you're there.
Yes.
But mentally, you're pretty much asleep.
Yes.
Got it. Okay, I like it. Excellent.
So what have you been going through? What have you been going through? Because one of the things I loved is the special day. I guess those are flyers or banners behind you.
Yeah. We'll go with a shameless plug. It's actually something that I was working on. It's a personal passion project of mine. It has nothing to do with my business or my industry. What I did was I wrote a children's book, and that's what Special Getaway is. So it's a book that was inspired by my grandmother, dedicated to my grandparents. My grandmother was a pediatrician, so I decided I wanted to donate the proceeds of the book sales to a pediatric cause. And so we worked out all the details, and now all the proceeds are going to Shriners Hospitals for Children. And so that was one of my that was kind of I was wrapping this up as quarantine was starting. So that was my wrap up to my quarantine projects. And that was the first way to kind of keep myself a little bit focused on things that are non-wedding or non-event related. And then it just propelled other passion projects, which I am sure other panelists and everybody else that's watching has probably had some personal projects they've been working on, because now, to your point, sometimes we don't even have time to sleep. And now we have the abundance of time. And to me, I feel like we got to make the best of it, because we don't know when this is, hopefully this doesn't happen to this extent again, or under these circumstances. But I'm a big believer in seize the opportunity, take the time, because time is obviously precious, as we all know. So that was a personal project of mine. And yeah, it's a children's book. I'm really happy with how it came out. The wonderful illustrations were done by a wonderful illustrator that I was able to work with. And it's a rhyming book. So I think that qualifies me as like a rapper, and I think I'm eligible for a Grammy, I believe. I don't know how that works. But in all seriousness,
I think technically you have to rap it. I think that is part of it, not just read it and write it.
That is fair. Yeah.
If you want to rap it for us now, we're willing to listen. Like we'll be your audience.
I'll tell you what, later on, I might whip out, like, say, 2 pages or so as a preview, and then the rest has to be, it's available on Amazon and Barnes & Noble at the moment. So the rest will be available for purchase, but I can give you a 2-page preview.
Wonderful. We love it. Now that answered one of my questions, which was, what did you do? Because everybody basically pivoted. And as a wedding host, there weren't that many weddings. But one of the conversations that we've been having is that many weddings are starting to pop up. I don't know if many weddings need a host or not, like they're 4 people. But I mean, sure. What do you see in the wedding industry?
Well, it's funny, Sharifa, because even before this, we were kind of moving towards smaller events anyway. We were moving towards more experiential than opulent. So the 500-person wedding, and I mean, obviously it's a little different culturally and regionally, but for the most part, from what I was seeing in my market, was we were moving away from the 500 or even 300-person guest count to, okay, let's do 70 people. But we're going to do it in a cave in the Amalfi Coast that no one else has access to, for example, right?
Right.
So it was going in that direction anyway. And now with the fact that there just needs to be less people, a lot of the consensus for a lot of my brides and grooms and couples has been, we don't want to really seem tone deaf in a way and invite a whole bunch of people anyway, because we don't know what everyone's individual comfort level is. So a lot of them have been opting for, let's do the ceremony anyway, because maybe they have a specific date that's super special to them, and there's a reason they picked that as their wedding date. And then moving forward, they can celebrate it as their anniversary date. So they decided to do that with the ceremony, and then the reception will wait for next year or the year after that. But when it comes down to mini weddings for reception, a lot of it has been, okay, let's do 20, 40 people, and then everyone else will join like this via Zoom. We throw up screens, monitors onto our stands, and then everyone can just kind of hop in and join and at least watch the celebration, and then vice versa, people who are there can see the celebration. From an entertainer standpoint, I'll say that, yeah, I would say the necessity for a host is always there, because whether it's 2 people or 200 people, everyone needs to know what's happening, and the flow needs to be there, needs to be kind of elevating that experience. And I will say, from a standpoint of like watching a dance floor, I'm the kind of person that if there's 100 people at a wedding, I want 150 on the dance floor. I know that's not mathematically possible, but I want as many people having fun as possible. I'm sure everybody in our world wants that. So when you have 100 people and 3 people leave to go to the bar or take a phone call or whatever it is, you feel that, but it's still 97 people left on the dance floor. When there's 20 people on the dance floor and 3 leave, you feel that a lot more. Like it's a lot more obvious.
It is. I like it. I have more questions for you, Artem. I want to go ahead and introduce our next guest. And we spoke to Artem about special days and special events. I want to talk to our next guest about why she decided to start her business and why it's so special to her. I want to introduce Tina Foy Foss, and she's going to talk to us a little bit about Bella by Tina Foy. Good morning, Tina. How are you?
Good morning, Sharifa. I'm good. How are you?
I am excited to have you here.
Thank you. I love your show. A friend of mine was on here as well, and I was like, okay, I gotta be on here. I gotta
Who's
sign
your
up and see when
friend?
she's
We got a name
available.
drop.
Nikki Lynn was on here.
I know Nikki Lynn. I'm trying to remember
hmm
Nikki's business. What does Nikki do?
She's a fitness coach.
Yes. Okay. Yes. We talked about that and how she made the pivot through COVID to okay. I remember her. But
Yes.
I'm glad. I love referrals because I think either before the show or sometime during the show we were joking about filling the seats and how do I get 5 people on the show? And if not for COVID, I would have never had 5 people show up at all. But then people started referring their friends and also coming back. So I've had people who have been on the show 5 or 6 times. I have one lady, Allison Allman, the organization maven. She's here every Monday. I have Jade Elizabeth. She's here every other Friday. So people just kind of like, this is fun. Let me grab a seat. And then I just hold everybody hostage. Like, now you're a part of my community. You can't leave. So I'm going to hold you hostage, Tina. But
That's fine. I'm welcome to it.
talk to us about Bella and the story behind it.
So Bella was created because I had a lot of skin issues. Like I felt like I was a teenager. Like being a teenager, you have skin issues is kind of a part of growing up. But as an adult, you just feel awful because you have these breakouts and you can't figure out a way to not look like you're a high schooler when you're a grown person.
Mhm,
So even with my pregnancy, it was just horrific. I felt self conscious. My self esteem was low.
mhm,
So after my pregnancies, I'm like, okay, you know what? I've tried all the name brands. I've tried the whole YouTube videos. Nothing worked. Everything was really just, it was an awful experience. But I was like, instead of complaining about it, I just need to create a solution. There's
mhm,
no good in complaining about it. I need a solution. I went through doing some research, found a couple of companies that can actually provide what I need. About a year and a half, 2 years of just testing products and seeing what works and what can give me the look that I need without having to wear makeup as a day, a face mask, excuse me. Just like I used to have to kick all makeup so my face didn't look just scary, to be honest. I felt like I was a clown because I had to cake it on just to cover all my blemishes and all my insecurities, to say the least. And I became partners of one company, and it was just like a godsend. I was like, this is what I'm looking for. This is what I need, and it gave me the results that I needed. And the more I looked at it, I was like, well, I know I'm not the only person going through this. It
mhm,
has to be other people going through the same struggles that I am. So I was like, okay, well, let me turn it into a business.
mhm.
And then when it came to the name, my sister, my youngest sister, she would have been 26 this year. She died of diabetes,
I'm
and
sorry to hear
her
that.
nickname, thank you, her nickname was Bella. And I said, whatever I did, whatever I put my hands on, Bella would be in it. Whether it's in the forefront, in the middle of it, and Bella would be in it. So I just used Bella and added my name to it, and Bella by Tina Ford was created.
I love it. I love the whole aspect of having an idea because that's one of the things I talk about. Entrepreneurs are problem solvers. I think that's more than anything what we are. We see a problem, we have to find a solution, and it's not a logical thing. Sometimes it's where we're like something's irritating us, it's bothering us, so I just have to fix it. As opposed to other people who are like, okay, it's a problem, I hate it, and then they go on with their lives. But Tina, I just want to go back and make sure that I understood you correctly when you were speaking. So when you were talking about like appearing like a teenager, you said you had blemish just on your face.
On my face, I had
Okay.
pimples. It's just everything. It was like being a teenager all over again. If you ate chocolate, or if you didn't drink enough water, or you had like a whole bunch of junk food, even
Hmm.
though I didn't do any of that, my face looked like it.
Hmm. But you look young anyway. You know what I mean? Like you look like you can't be more than, I'm not even gonna say, but you look young. Your face, everything, you would appear like a teenager, especially if your face was breaking out or something like that. At least to me.
Yeah, but I love that I look young. Thank you. I appreciate that. But just I could do without the blemishes, and
Hmm.
it's something that makes you feel very insecure and
Hmm.
very. You start comparing yourself to other people and wondering what are you doing wrong. And
Hmm.
I know there's other people that feel like that's like the worst feeling ever, is to just feel like you're ugly on the outside, knowing that's not the person you are.
Right, right, absolutely. But I also want to applaud you because there are cemeteries full of $1 million ideas. People who have an idea, they have something that they want to do, and they literally take it to their graves and do absolutely nothing with it. You said, and then you said, I want to create a business, and you actually did that. So I definitely want to applaud you. Now, how long did that take? What was the process like for you to actually, especially a makeup business, a skincare line? That's not something that you can just sell out the back of the trunk of your car. Like, it takes a
No.
process.
I actually launched officially online. I launched in March of this year, which was
Oh,
kind of
right.
weird with the pandemic and everything going on. But actually, the process I've been doing about a year and a half, 2 years, because I wanted to test the product, see what the results are, and then also have people close to me that I can trust just to test. That way, the results are not biased. I know they're going to be upfront with me, like, okay, this is not going to work, or I recommend this, or just
Mhm.
getting an outside look in as to what needs improvement and how to approach different things.
Mm. I like that. I have more questions for you, Tina, but I want to go ahead and introduce our next guest. And we were talking about teenagers, not that you are one, you might have appeared to be one, but teenagers, I believe, need as much guidance as possible. And gratefully, we do have our next guest who is providing some of that guidance, Ms. Lori Kopp Weingarten. I mess up names all the time, but she is the president of One Stop College Admissions. Good morning, Lori. How are you?
Hi, Sharifa. You didn't mess up my name. That's it. Lori Kopp Weingarten. Said it perfectly.
President of One Stop.
One Stop College Counseling. Yes.
Yes.
It's so great to be on the show. This is such an interesting concept and such a wonderful thing to do during COVID. And it's amazing to meet all these people of different industries. My whole world is college counseling. That's all I do, day in, day out. So it's really nice to see people doing other things and hearing about it. Very interesting.
I love your bear, and I love your shirt, and I love your necklace, and I love your energy. Like, it's all of this is why our kids go to college.
Oh, thank you. Oh boy, it's nice to get all these compliments. Well, I love your show.
Thank you.
So yeah, I got started with this. Teenagers do need guidance, and there's so many uncertain things going on with college admissions in general. And then on top of COVID coming, things have changed so rapidly. And it's just been it's really fulfilling to work with these students and their families and try to help them find the right college, meaning a school that fits them, a place where they feel comfortable, where they'll thrive. Because sometimes people focus so much on getting into college and forget that they actually have to get out of college. They have to do well and graduate. So we really try to work with students, find out what they're looking for, kind of guide them to maybe some colleges they might not even know about, that would have a program that they're interested in. And then we work on their applications, which is what we're doing right now with all our seniors. Very, very hectic time, September and October, right before the early apps. But it's a great profession. I love my career.
I can tell you're glowing. I can tell by your face that even though you don't get to talk to people. So yes, just like people out there. But I have questions. I've been asking about education in school throughout all of the shows, but I want to ask you specifically, simply your thoughts on two different areas. Number one, there's been a conversation that kids over the last basically 6 months during this global pandemic didn't learn anything, and that we're just moving them forward and they may not be prepared. The second aspect of that is the conversation where we're saying, okay, I've spent $5 million. I'm just making this number up. I'm going to spend $5 million to go to this university, and it is the best of the best, the top of the line. But now that I'm still going to be going online, what's the benefit of going to that school? So two very different questions, but I just kind of wanted to throw them at you at once just to hear your thoughts.
So the first one, which is, I guess, how are kids doing with this virtual learning? It's been really tough. so I'm located in central New Jersey, but we work with students throughout the country and even in Asia also. And it's been very varied on how the schools are handling this. So some of the schools are doing synchronous learning where you're learning at the same time, the teacher's teaching and it's live and they can ask their questions. That seems to work better than the asynchronous learning where you're learning, you're watching pre-recorded lectures. So think about a teenager or even younger students. Are they really going to turn on their Zoom camera all day long, hour after hour, listening to a teacher give a lecture and not be distracted by food in the house and people walking by their window and what's going on with their siblings and their parents yelling for them to be quiet? It's not ideal, right? But on the other hand, you want to keep everybody safe. So it's a constant back and forth with that. We've had students do very well with it. It really kind of depends on how their high school is handling it. We've also had students, especially ones who sometimes have trouble focusing, do as well. It's just hard to sit and watch Zoom lectures day after day. So, I mean, I don't get involved with the teaching. I'm not in the schools, but I think that as soon as it resolves and kids can get back to normal, it would be a wonderful thing because this is not a great way to learn. But one other thing, when this happened, it switched very quickly from where you're going to school and all of a sudden, nope, everything's closed down. So I think what happened is teachers who had no idea what Zoom even was or whatever platform they're using, they didn't know how to handle this. So it was very haphazardly done. Right now, for the schools that are online, so some of my students are actually going in person, some of them are online. It's better. It is definitely better. They had all summer to learn how to teach virtually for the ones that are doing it. And for the ones in school, they're wearing masks. You can't see people's expressions. There are pros and cons to both. So that's, I can't solve that problem. Hopefully there'll be a vaccine and things will get back to even a new normal, but some kind of normal. That would be great.
I want to cut you off, but specifically, I know we can't solve that problem, but have you seen a concern where people are maybe they don't feel ready because, they didn't have all the learning that they typically would have had, especially our seniors, to be a senior in the last year and you haven't done any work except for remote learning. And I discussed this on a show and I was discussing my aunt who had her granddaughter with her during this time frame, and her granddaughter's school emailed her a packet for 3 weeks. Each email consisted of a PDF with 90 pages per package. And she sent it to me and she said, Sharifa, they told me, she has no idea about technology. She's like, they told me I have to print this out. Is that all I need to do? I'm just going to take it to Kinko's or FedEx and just going to print it. And so I said, okay, send it to me and I'll look at it. So I looked at it and it's 3 separate emails. Each email has a 90-page PDF. So I called her and I said, okay, you do realize that 90 pages, 3 separate packages at about 75 cents per page is going to cost you. And she had no idea. She wound up calling the school. The school printed it out for her. She just went to pick it up. And so I was sharing this story on the show and someone said, well, at least she got a package. Our school told us to take your kids home and teach them something. And I was like, what does that mean? And then she's like, that's what they said. They said, teach them something. Like, you know what I mean? Like, whatever that is, she's teaching her kid how to do podcasts. Now, I'm a podcast person. I love it. But I mean, is that what we need for college admissions? So I guess it was my fault. I should have gave you a little bit more background on what I was thinking. But are they prepared for college is, I guess, what people have been discussing.
Yeah. Wow. Well, I'm glad your friend was so proactive and ended up having the school printed instead of her going and paying for that. And then the one who said, just teach them something. There is a value to learning new things outside of school, but yes, it is very important that they're prepared for college. You don't want to set up a kid to go to college and then not have high school knowledge. So I think this is a difficult topic. some of our students are worried. Some of our students have hired tutors. Some of our students have found free online resources. And there are some free online public schools that are operating right now. So students can be resourceful and try to find ways to learn. It is a concern. I mean, many students took their AP exams last May. The AP exams were shortened from 3 hours to 45 minutes.
Oh, wow.
And the colleges know that and they only covered 75% of the material. So the colleges know that score is a little bit, how valid is that? If they got a 5, which is the highest, saying you're ready for the college level of the next level of this class, are they really? Because only 3/4 of the material was covered. So colleges are trying to adjust and actually supplement some of that. So every college is taking a different approach, but these are all fantastic, very tough questions, especially because there's no conformity. I mean, one school does one thing that might prepare students and another student is saying teach your child anything. So
Right.
yeah, so I don't have a definitive answer, except that if you're not getting it from school, try to supplement, learn online. There are plenty of free materials to be had on the internet.
Yeah. No, I love hearing thoughts. That's why I always phrase the question, what are your thoughts? What are your opinion? And that's what you gave us. And I appreciate that. And a lot of information, which is key. Use your resources. We are living in an age of technology. I'll come back to you, Lori. I want to introduce our next guest, Mr. Robert Foster. Robert, you are muted, so I want to go ahead and unmute you. But Robert Foster is a fitness coach, is inspirational speaker, and business coach. Good morning, Robert. How are you? We want to get you unmuted there, Robert. He's like, what happened? What happened?
There we go.
There we go.
All right. Thank you for having me.
Why
So,
it look like you just worked out? You're making me feel guilty. Like I feel bad. Like, I should have worked out today.
This is actually conservative. I usually wear the other tanks.
Okay. Are you?
This is my casual dress.
Oh, that's casual. Okay, so this is my question for fitness coach people. Are you more like the motivational fitness coach? Or are you more like the general, who's like smacking food out of your hand? Like which polar are you? Because I know which one I need.
I'll tell you, I'm a combination of both. So when people come to me, we dive deep into what their goals are, like fitness goals and in life. And I tie them both together and I push people based on their goals. So if someone comes in and they just want to say drop 10 pounds or they want to improve a minute in their 5K time, that requires one level of focus. If someone comes in and they need to lose 50 pounds, they're pre-type 2 diabetic and they have a lot of joint discomfort, then that person is going to need a lot more attention. So it just depends on a person's individual goals.
Okay, what about people like myself who just refuse to put this stuff down? I talk about this when I launched this show. I came up with the idea on March 30th. I launched my first show on March 30th. So from the 3rd to the 30th, I was like, I'm going to be in shape. I'm going to be ready. I'll be camera ready. This is all pre-COVID, right? So I was like, I started drinking more water. I did a 7-day juice cleanse. I was ready, right? COVID hit. I was in McDonald's ordering mocha frappes. I was like, I need something to make me feel better. You know what I mean? So I need somebody who's going to help me with, I know how to do it. I know how to lose the weight. I know how to get in shape, but I would like a mocha frappe, please.
Yeah. So what I tell people is that when they come to me, like they don't come to me for the workout, like they come to me for the accountability. And that's what it sounds like you need. So in addition to the working out, we have an online community and we have certain guidelines that they have to follow. And if they don't follow the guidelines, they're out of the group. So the ones who are in the group, I tell them there's only 2 things that are going to happen. You're either going to reach a goal or you're going to quit. Like there's no middle ground. So the standards that we have set forth in the group are designed for people to reach their goals. And it's deeper than just, make sure you work out 3 times a week and drink enough water. Like we have them reflecting on proud moments of the day. They have certain step goals. They have water goals. They have an entire meal plan. They have to log their food. They have to take photos. Like, it's a very, very strict program, but it gets people results.
Okay, I'm signing up for that program right now because I don't need Robert calling me. Robert be like, you didn't post your dinner. I'm
Yeah,
like, that's because
for
it
real.
was from Taco Bell. I can't post Taco Bell. Like, no.
No, see, on the contrary though, because I tell people like you have to own everything. You know, it's like we're all human. You know what I mean? Like, I don't just eat chicken and asparagus. You know, so if you have pizza, own it. You know, you put it on your list. Like, I don't want people hiding behind things because that's when you end up backsliding. So the more that you put it out there in the accountability group, the faster you're going to get back on the horse.
Okay, so do you just work with people with fitness, or do you work with them as far as meals and different things as well?
Yes, yeah. Like I had a custom app made, and through the app, I can make like 30 different meal plans. So if people need vegan, vegetarian, paleo, carb cycling, low fat, low sugar, like we can make all of that. And it's based off of the person's individual stats.
Mm-hmm.
So like I would input age, name, height, weight, and body measurements, and then the system will compute a meal plan based on your own needs.
Robert, now I usually don't do this. I usually don't judge people's businesses.
Okay.
Mainly because I have witnesses, but that sounds expensive to me. That sounds like, oh my God, like now I gotta add $800 a month to my bill to be able to afford Robert, but I have to have him.
It's not even nearly that much. Not even nearly. But when people do give me price objections, I always say, what's the cost of staying where you are?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Or what's, you know what I mean? Having a future, having a life, living to older age. To me, that's priceless. You know what I mean? Because so many people are suffering from diseases and illness. And a lot of it comes back to stress, their eating habits, their sleeping habits. We talked to Artem earlier. We were talking about weddings, and Artem, I love the show. He gave us the information on sleep. So it's just taking care of ourselves. And I love that aspect. So the app, where can we download the app?
It's not one of those apps. So like you have to be a member of my group to get access to the app.
How do I get to be a member of the group? How do I get into the in crowd is my question, Robert.
It's rbffitness.com.
rbffitness.com.
Yeah, my initials, Robert B. Foster. So rbffitness.com.
Okay. Now, how long typically does it take to change your life? Because usually this is what I do. I start to walk. I like to walk now because I'm older. Let me say that. When I was in high school, I ran cross country. People don't believe that. But I had a lot of endurance 50 years ago, 60 years ago. Now at 44, my endurance isn't there. I'll go for a walk, and I usually do that for 30 days. The 31st day, I'm back at McDonald's ordering my mocha frappe. You see a pattern here.
See? And now let me answer. And the reason is because you gave yourself an end date. So I tell people, like, when you're changing your lifestyle, you have to change your lifestyle. So it can't just be for 30 days. It can't be for 6 weeks or whatever. Because again, on that 46th day, you're going to revert back to your old ways. So I coach my clients into the 80-20 rule. So like once you reach what I tell people, when you're going towards your goal, you got to go all in. So then once you reach your goal, then you can pull back some, but you can't pull back all the way, or else you're going to go right back to where you were. So as long as you don't put an end date on it and you actually change your habits, like water, I can't tell you when I drank something other than water, all right, besides wine, besides water, like I don't drink juice, I don't drink sodas, I don't drink smoothies, shakes, I don't drink any of that stuff. And why? Because it's not conducive to my lifestyle. But I do like pizza, I do like Chinese food, and I do like cake. So on days that I would want some of that stuff, I make sure breakfast is super clean, lunch is super clean, I have plenty of water, and then I enjoy my dinner.
Like that.
Yes, so like where people go wrong is they compound it. They think like a cheat day is like the entire day, and they have pancakes for breakfast, they have pizza for lunch, and then Chinese food for dinner, 5 beers, and nachos. And then now everything you just did for that week is now erased.
Yes, I like that because I did the keto diet. I lost 40 pounds and gained 50 pounds back. And I was like, okay, this is not sustainable. So very interesting, Robert. I have more questions for you. I want to thank, we're going to come back. A couple of people for tuning in. Thank you for your support as always. Amy Trout Hughes says, good morning, Sharifa. Great show as usual. She says, I'm owning the pizza I eat. Accountability matters, but I don't love it. Good morning, Amy. Thank you for tuning in. Vaishali Nikhade is with us, and she is a business psychic. Now I am hosting my event. It is the Powered by Purpose 2-day teleconference, and we're going to try to get Vaishali there at this teleconference. It's a virtual event, October 9th, October 10th. We'll have more information on that. But Vaishali, you are a business psychic. So you did a little bit prior to the show to help one of our guests out. Let us know. I'm sure you're picking up something someone said intrigued you. So I'm just going to give you an open forum to let your abilities flow.
Cool. Thank you, Sharifa. It's nice to be here. I was thinking about it while you were chatting with the other guests, and I figured that it would be best to give some examples of clients that I've read recently so that
Absolutely.
people can get an idea, because the results have already played out and the clients have already reported the results to me. So if you don't mind, I'll pick a couple of those examples and people can get an idea of what they can leverage by consulting with a business psychic.
Absolutely. I love to hear your examples.
Sure. So let's pick an example of the client number one. And she has been reading with me for, I want to say, about 3 to 6 months. And she was going to put a bid on a contract, and the bid was going to be for $225,000. And when she came to me, she was really nervous. She is like, I really want this contract. I'm not sure if the price is too high. I don't know if I'm bidding too low. I really want it. What should I do? She said that this is what I think is going to be the right range, to around 225. She said, should I go down to 200? I don't want to lose because of the price. So I looked at the reading and I said, I think you can go up to 260. So she put in a bid for 260,000 and she actually ended up winning the contract. So she essentially got a raise for around $35,000.
And did she cut you a check for at least $5,000?
Not yet. She has not yet. So what I am going to do is I'm going to put a new clause in my readings to get a percentage, like you said, $5,000 or whatever.
That's right. Like, I just helped you out. That's the problem. She might send you a flower or a rose or a card or something like, here's your $100 Amazon gift card. Like, I don't want that. I'm sorry. I told y'all it's Friday. But I'm just saying.
Yeah, no, I think you're right. And someone had pointed that out to me before, but she had been reading with me for a while. So I let that one slip. And the clauses in the contracts moving forward. Let me give you another example. So this lady came to me and she was in a little bit of trouble because she had lost some money. And she consulted with me. I showed her like a few steps on what to do and so forth. And I also showed her what she was doing wrong. And she admitted to whatever it was that she was doing wrong. And she said, okay, I'll make those corrections and I'll clean those things up. So in less than 24 hours, she came to me and she said, okay, I made $5,000 just listening to the advice. I said, oh, that is so cool. Now, in her case, I wouldn't take a check because of her situation.
We're going to need something. I'm going to start doing your negotiation, Vaishali. I'm going to be your negotiator. We're going to need something. She made $5,000. We are going to, no, I'm just kidding. That's wonderful. I love it. So you gave us 2 examples. I got a 2-day teleconference that I'm working on. I want to make it a success. I want it to reach people all over the globe. What do I need to do? Work some magic.
Sure. So I'll give you a couple of examples of what you need to do. And when Lori was talking, actually, there was another idea that hit my head, which is she was saying that, these students, they apply to a lot of schools. So what I can do is I can take a look at the student and the number of schools they're applying to, and I could pretty much tell which school they're going to get accepted and which school they're not. So they can save all the time in making the application and paying the application fees and those sorts of things.
I think that would take away the learning process from the students. They want to learn to see who wants what, I'm sorry, I'm speaking for Lori. Lori.
Yeah, that would be a difficult sell, I think, for my students. We really use a very comprehensive approach to looking at who they are, what they're asking for in terms of what major they want to study, what their grades are, what their rigor was, what their test scores are. So I'm not sure.
The parents would agree.
Okay,
right,
that's cool.
In this case, but thank you. That's an interesting approach. It would be very cool if it could be that easy.
Okay, so as far as your teleconference is concerned, I think we could look at the speakers and we could figure out as to, let's say that you have 20 speaking slots and you have, let's say, 50 applications. We could figure out which speakers you should take in that would make the conference a success and which speakers you may want to kind of not keep, at least for this conference. So that's something we could do. Or we could also look at ways you're going to advertise. So let's say that you have 5 different advertising channels. Mm-hmm. So we could figure out which advertising channel is going to give you like the most number of audience or most number of viewers who will come to the conference.
I like that. So basically what I'm hearing you say, not to interrupt you, but that's what I tend to do, is that you take a look at variables. You take a look at basically few choices, 5 choices, and then weigh the psychic energy against which one has the most positive energy or the one that has the most likelihood for success, if I'm interpreting that correctly.
So that's one of the things I do. Another thing I can do is just plain like look into the future and make predictions. So I'll give you another example. And a lot of my clients that come to me also come to me for personal readings, and they are single. So they are looking for like the future boyfriend or girlfriend. So I give them a prediction of their future boyfriend or girlfriend and what they're going to look like and how you'll meet them and all those details. And then
so when am I going to meet my future husband, and what does he look like? What's his name? What's his date of birth? Like, what's his zodiac sign? Like, help us, Sister Vaishali. Don't do that, Tina. I see you. I can see you from here.
So there are some limitations to what I do, which is I don't get any names or dates of birth. I have been very good with the physical features, descriptions, how you meet them. And I have a lot of reviews on Google. I think you can look at my Google reviews or my site reviews to check them out. And they've reported pretty much on the dot. Now it's not always 100%. Sometimes it's a little like 90% or something.
Vaishali, I didn't mean to keep cutting you off, but you should be a politician. I like you. Like, you got that politician. You just went all around my question. Come back. That's okay. I'm not gonna put you on the spot. I'm gonna go read your Google reviews. I'm gonna do my research because you just nicely, politely told me to go Google you, which is what I'm gonna do. And then maybe you can help me find my husband, okay, Vaishali, and make my event a success.
Okay, so here's the thing. I do have a freebie on my website and you can sign up for it. It gives you a description of your future husband or boyfriend.
Okay, I like that. That's that shameless self-promotion right there. Vaishali said, Google me, go to my website. Don't ask me no more questions. I'm teasing. I like it. It's great. It's wonderful. I'm going to go back to Artem. Artem, I'm lost. I don't even talk to me, Artem. What are you feeling? What are you picking up based on today's show?
My future wife is going to look like Beyonce, is what I've gathered from this. No, I think honestly, I'm learning a lot of information. I think every panelist has really provided a lot of food for thought. Personally, as a fitness nerd, I really appreciated Robert's sentiments, where it really truly is a lifestyle change that people, I think, sometimes kind of dismiss when they're looking at their goals, because we're so taught and kind of integrated with the information of like, a goal means this, and then I reach it, and then I'm done. And that's really how, I mean, I obviously can't speak for Robert, but the information that I gathered from him was, it's not really how goals in terms of lifestyle changes work. it's that ever evolving goal, and it changes. And so for me, like, my brain compartmentalizes, especially for weddings and events. You have a timeline. We work around that timeline, knowing, okay, if the dinner is going to be here, like at, let's say, 9:30 p.m., I know I can transition different things and I can put things into here. So my biggest pet peeve is doing things for the sake of doing them. So I never want to make an announcement that's unnecessary. I never want to make a moment that's unnecessary. I don't want dead air, of course. I don't think anybody likes that. So I think there's a lot of things that I look at from the event world and then take that and put that into the real world for analogies or just for anything that can relate to everything that everyone's discussed. And I think that that's great, because I think there's always something to take away, always a little bit of a nugget from everybody. And I love the fact that we're just learning from each other right now.
Absolutely. Robert, I want you to respond to Artem.
Yes. What I tell people, it's like you go to college and you have to put in the work to get through college. You land your dream job. So when you reach your goal in fitness, that's like landing your dream job. But you have to put in work to keep the job.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So yeah, so like that's what I try to impress upon my people. I say, yes, all right, we can do a 6-week challenge, but that doesn't mean on day 43 or 46, whatever it is, that everything stops. Like, now you have to work to keep that body.
Mm-hmm. I think that's important in life, something to keep in mind in life, because I use almost the same exact example when speaking with entrepreneurs. Because the number one question that they ask me is, what is the one business that is guaranteed to be successful? And I always tell them it's the one business you're willing to do day in and day out. Because at some point, no matter what your passion is, and I love that everybody's passionate about what they do, at some point it's still a job, because you have to do it every day. I was joking on one of the shows. I'm like, yeah, I was looking for PDOs for the Roundtable Talk Show. Like, can I just call in sick today? Somebody else will host the show. But that's not life, especially as an entrepreneur. I do the show weekdays every day, Monday through Friday at 8 a.m. So sometimes it's hard to be committed, but you have to do it. Tina, how do you keep up your commitment to be a business owner?
Actually, I learned from my mom. She's an entrepreneur. She's the one that kind of introduced me to the lifestyle. She's a seamstress. So she may get maybe 1 or 2 hours of sleep, but she's up at 5 in the morning and she's sewing something or she's putting something together, and she may not go to sleep until the next morning if she goes to sleep at all. So with me, it's a little bit different because I have 2 boys and I just got to maintain the house at the same time. But the first thing I get up is kind of starting my work day. I'm checking my emails, I'm checking my social media, I'm doing my posts for the day, I'm lining up to see what orders have come in, I'm talking to my customers, I'm talking to future customers, answering questions. It's a lifestyle, I guess you can say. You wake up and do it. You sleep and do it.
But you have to do it day in and day out, day in and day out. But it's just loving what you do. And everybody who loves what they do is not an entrepreneur like Lori. Lori, you are an entrepreneur because you're a business owner, but you have a particular focus. You're not one of us who's like all over the place trying to do a million different things. But I do want to get an opportunity to re-ask that second question, because I threw a whole lot at you at once. But what are some of the conversations that you're seeing about the whole aspect of paying all this money to go to university, and now I'm still at home in Connecticut on a computer via Zoom learning at this college? Has that conversation come up?
Yes, you really pick the tough ones.
I'm sorry, Lori. It's what people ask me, and I ask you. I don't know.
Yes. Okay. So it is coming up a lot because some of the schools, if you're paying full price, which not everybody is, but they're at $80,000 a year. That's $320,000, and that's incredible. That's like a house,
Yeah.
And you're sitting there and you're online now. So yes, that's come up quite often. And of course, some students are paying less, but even $10,000 a year to sit in front of a computer, $20,000 a year, it's a lot. So what's happened though is that normally I think a lot of people would say, forget this. I'm not going to start my college experience or continue it on Zoom. So I'm going to take a gap year. The problem is, what can you do in the gap year? Students usually travel or work or intern, and all of that is pretty much closed down. So what I found with our students, we only had one student take a gap year. We had a few students think about it very seriously, because a lot of colleges changed their plans at the very last minute. So they kept saying, we're opening, we're opening, we're opening, we're on campus. And with a week to go, oh, sorry, we're not going to open. So some students have actually gone to the campus, moved off campus, created their own little pods, and they feel that even though the classes are online, if they're just with a certain group of students who they can trust to not have risky behavior, they're going to try that. But it's a big question. So if you stay home, there's an opportunity cost there, because you're going to graduate a year later, you lose a whole year of income, and you're not graduating with your class. It's really, again, tough questions, Sarita. Most of our students have gone or are doing it online, and like, you know, hoping that in January they'll be back on campus. For the ones who couldn't go, just difficult. Again, so I don't have a definitive answer.
No, it's okay.
It's causing some issues. A few of the schools have discounted tuition 10% because of it. Is that really enough? I mean, I don't know. It's a lot of money. But you are still with your classmates. You still have the energy and the intelligence of the professors who are communicating the material. So is it as good? Probably not. But it's the best they can do. And the majority of, at least our students, have decided to start this way and just kind of hope and cross their fingers it's going to get better.
But that's wonderful, because in a pandemic or out of a pandemic, I personally, my children are 23 and 26. And my son wanted, even before this, he wanted to do a gap year. And I told him, I said, son, people tend not to come back after a gap year. They tend to be off in life, enjoying life. Like, why stop then and go back to school? It's easier to just kind of push through it. That was my advice as a mom. So I'd love to hear your thoughts on that. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe people can just do a year and then come back, or what are your thoughts?
So actually, gap years the research on gap years has been phenomenal. I mean, the outcomes, kids go away and they kind of learn life. They've been in school, taken care of by their parents, just going to school. That was their whole job. And then they take a gap year and they actually experience life. So for many kids, not all, but for many, they really kind of grow up in that year and they come back ready to work, they have a goal. Sometimes it's very different from what they thought they would study in high school. When they thought what they thought in high school they would study in college, they've been a year in the world. I wouldn't take like a gap 5 years, but a gap year can be really valuable. But again, you have to know your own child and you know whether or not that would put them on a totally different path, or that would focus them and make them really ready to come back. So depends, but in general, gap years have been good. It's just that this year, the gap year options, there are some good options, but they're limited.
I like that. I want him to go to school. I want him to focus and not go off traveling the world and get distracted. I think that was my main thought and my main concern. And moms love to scare our children, and I want to scare him into education.
Yes, and I totally understand that viewpoint too. So.
Vaishali, we have you as a speaker for the October 9th and 10th Powered by Purpose 2-day teleconference. What are you going to talk about? What are you going to teach us?
Oh, interesting. I just learned something new. What I'm going to teach you is how you can take an ordinary moment and create an extraordinary breakthrough. So it's like creating an aha moment on demand by increasing your awareness. And there's a very specific framework for it, which I came up with. And I used it to launch my podcast, which is called the Uncanny Link. So I'm going to be teaching that framework.
What do you talk about on the Uncanny Link?
In the Uncanny Link, I talk about what happens when science meets woo, or physics meets metaphysics. So my initial background is in engineering. I used to be an engineer, and then I turned into a psychic. So I talk about how to look at something with a different perspective in terms of the body as well as the spirit. And essentially, it's a little bit of an education on how psychics can see through things or see through time. And it's a very It's a relatively new podcast, and some of the episodes are short. So I think I have 7 episodes up right now. So you can just listen to it in maybe a couple of hours.
I like that. When I work with new clients, I always tell them your website should be a brochure and it should have different sections where you can refer people to. And so that you don't have to have 5-hour conversations. And you have perfected that, because every time I ask you a question, you refer me somewhere else. So I think that's interesting. I'm going to have to utilize that and incorporate that into what I'm doing. Now, we have come down to the last few minutes of the show. And what I love to do at the end of every show is just simply allow my audience the ability to speak, my guests, the ability to speak directly to the audience, to everyone who is watching live, as well as everyone who is watching this show in the archives, and let them know what you want them to take away from your appearance here today. And we're going to start with you, Tina.
Well, I want to thank everyone for watching and thank Sharif for having me on here. What I would want everyone to take away is, if you have a dream, thought, or just something you're looking to do, just do it. Don't don't sit there and say I'm going to do it when the time is right, because it's never right. If you need to take care of your skin, I'm your lady. You can see me at bellabytinafoy.com, or even find me on Instagram. I've always liked DMs and talking to people and getting to know people, and just say hey to all my boss babes and moms that's doing their thing.
I love it. Hey to the boss babes. Arda, what do you have for us?
Sure. I think first and foremost, of course, thank you for having me. And I would like to thank everybody on the panel as well. I think that the biggest takeaway for me, and I hope that the takeaway for the audience as well, is that if you heard everyone speak today, I think the key component was comfort level with those that we work with. So I think that's the biggest takeaway for me. So whenever you are in a position as a consumer, and most people forget that entrepreneurs or any business owner, 99% of the time, we're also consumers of something else. We're not always just constantly selling. So as consumers, we also always want to make sure we're getting the best of what we want from whatever product or service we're looking for. So I think the key takeaway is comfort level. So whether you're working with someone for a week, a month, a couple of years, for the rest of your life, whatever it may be, make sure you're comfortable with that person. And it is very well worth the time investment to go through as many people as you can to really get to that point where you go, that's the person I want to work with. So I think comfort level is key to any successful partnership. And I think everything at the end of the day is a partnership, because we're all on the same earth, and we're all trying to make it happen without any kind of guidebook. And I think the key is we all live in our own little world, in our own movie, but we always have to cameo in one another. So let's make it good and do it the right way.
I like that. Thank you for having a cameo in mind.
And Special Day Way, available Amazon and Barnes & Noble.
Absolutely have to pick up a copy real quick. Vaishali, what do you have for us?
What was the question again?
Vaishali, I'm enjoying you today. Vaishali. What do you want the people who are watching you live, because they're watching you right now specifically, what do you want them quickly to take away from your appearance here today?
Oh, cool. Yeah, I would like them to, if they liked what they heard, I would like them to listen to my podcast, The Uncanny Link. And it just so happens, if you're listening live, I'm doing a half-day workshop on Saturday, which is tomorrow. You're welcome to message me to join the workshop. It teaches you how to create an aha moment on demand. And if you have any questions, comments, feel free to tag me, and I'm happy to respond to any of your questions and comments and chat with you.
I'm gonna see your responses, Vaishali. It's gonna say, read my Google reviews and then come back. It's gonna be an auto responder. That's what it's gonna say. I like you. Lori, what do you have for us?
So first, I want to echo what everyone said. Thank you so much for having me on your show. This was a lot of fun. It broke up my day of reading essays, high school senior essays, applying to college. I guess my main thing is for people interested in college admissions, worry about what you can control. There's so many things due to COVID right now that you cannot control. Standardized test taking, and taking your classes online, and not being able to visit colleges because they're closed to visitors. So what I do is I help people kind of navigate this process and do it the best that they can, even with these circumstances. But if you just want information, you could go to our Facebook page, One Stop College Counseling. We post a new article every day at 8 in the morning, scheduled in advance. It will really give you some insight into what's happening in the process. And if you go to our website, also, once you could just Google One Stop College Counseling, you could sign up for our mailing list and you will get great tidbits on the college admission process.
I like that. Thank you, Lori. Robert, go ahead and take us out.
All right. Like everyone else said, thank you for having me. Thank the other panelists for being here. And for me, I actually want to give a tip. So if you're someone that struggles with your weight loss journey and you're watching this, find someone else to take under your wing, because your fitness journey it's really more than just about you, because other people watch you, the people in your circle, your children, family members, other people watch you. So as you get healthier and you get happier, your journey is going to inspire someone else to start their journey. So when you make it bigger than just you getting back into those skinny jeans, you're going to be more motivated to keep going forward and crushing those goals.
So I'm going to question that. So are you saying take someone with you as far as accountability partner, or someone who's going through the journey of weight loss with you?
Yes, someone going through the journey with you.
Okay.
So now you're going to have someone counting on you.
Okay, I got to find someone to count on me because I'm going through this journey. I want to thank you all for being here today. I want to thank you for being guests. I definitely appreciate you. I also want to thank everyone who tuned in to watch the show live, as well as everyone who is watching the show in the archives. We definitely appreciate your support. And please go ahead and share the show. But don't just share the show. Don't just watch the show. Please support our guests. Please visit their websites. Their information is in the Facebook post. Go to their websites, follow them on social media. And when you send them that message, when you send them that tweet, when you connect, please let them know Sharifa Hardy says hi. And if you are interested in more ways that I can help your business, or if you want to be a guest, please visit the website at AskSharifa.com. Until Monday morning at 8 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, everyone have a safe, a blessed Labor Day weekend. Have fun and no drinking and driving. Be safe. Bye now.